Oh my word, it's gonna be a big one. The coming week is gonna be massive for global financial markets. What's happening will impact stocks, cryptos, gold, and even forex markets as well. All kinds of asset classes will be looking at this one event. We're going to give you a heads up here in just a bit. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst at Bybit Learn. Thank you so much for joining this daily live stream. I'm just going to get confirmation that we are indeed broadcasting live on YouTube. Yes, we are. And also we are on X at Bybit_Learn. Let me just make sure that we are there as well. If you are watching this right now, you are in luck because you could get a heads up on this massive event that is set to happen next week, specifically on December 10th. We'll tell you all about it in just a bit. Yes, we are indeed streaming live on YouTube. That is at Bybit Learn Official. That is our official YouTube channel name, at Bybit Learn Official. Make sure you're clicking on the live tab. And for those of you watching on X, we are at Bybit_Learn. So that is our official X handle, at Bybit_Learn. All right, cool. So getting confirmation that yes, we are streaming live on YouTube and also on X. Okay, really good. Let me just go right to the screen because that is what you guys want to see. All right, so we'll start with the crowd favorite here, Bitcoin, of course. Oh, let me share my screen here, folks. Sorry about that. Here we go. All right, here's the crowd favorite, Bitcoin. So notice that we had highlighted the 21-day simple moving average as crucial support, and sure enough, now testing that line as we speak. Now, this is a widely followed technical indicator, the 21-day simple moving average. Of course, we've got the 50 and 200-day counterparts there as well. Now, for those of you who are watching this for the first time, just know this, that you can find many technical indicators within the Bybit universe. For those of you using the website trading platform, look for the indicator icon here that looks like a chart. You hover over it and you see indicators. Click on it, type in what you want, or just scroll through and find what you want. Okay, lots to be unpacked over there. But for this setup, I'm looking at the 21-day simple moving average in the name of consistency. Because look, if you don't believe me, check out all our previous live streams, right? Again, we are staying transparent. All that we discuss here on these daily live streams are archived and published on our YouTube channel. Again, looking for Bybit Learn Official and click on the live tab, and you can see all our live streams there. And of course, also on X at Bybit_Learn. Okay, all of the live streams are there. We've been highlighting this crucial support for a while now. As we speak, testing it right now. If you are not familiar with this kind of terms, when we say support, just think of like a floor. Okay, where prices hit it and then bounce back off. Support, we'll see if it bounces off this baby blue line, a 21-day simple moving average. The opposite of a support is called a resistance. Okay, so think of a ceiling, hits that resistance, hits that ceiling, and then comes back down. Because the reason we highlighted the 21-day simple moving average is because if you follow this baby blue line as I zoom out here, right, notice how it was resistance just this was around November 11th, right? Hits it, comes back down, and then it was resistance around here as well in late October, early November, right? So this has been, at least in recent times, closely follow the technical indicator. When I say technical indicator, just know that, look, traders are often looking for guides or signals across markets, right? So these are some of the things that traders use to kind of guide their behavior. So at least for this coming week setup, I'll be looking, at least for today, I want to make sure that this 21-day simple moving average holds. Like if it does, that could be a lurch back up to that 95,000 target that we've had in place since this big drop here on November 21st. Don't believe me? Again, check out the November 21st live stream. It's available on YouTube and also on X at Bybit_Learn. On YouTube, it's Bybit Learn Official. Okay, but also note that these kind of big round numbers, right, like the 94,000 level, big round numbers, they can also act as either support or resistance. And that's why you're seeing not just yesterday, but the day before as well, Wednesday, Thursday, hits it, comes back down, hits it, comes back down. In perhaps, more colloquial terms, or in just regular English, traders and investors think that, what, Bitcoin doesn't justify or doesn't warrant a price tag above 94,000 right now based on the current conditions, right? So hence reject, okay, resistance, excuse me, at the 94,000 big round number. Okay. So, but again, most crucial right now for immediate concerns, 21-day simple moving average, it has to hold for a chance to even move up. Otherwise, if we see a daily close below it, right, I'll be keeping an eye on this 84,000 big round number to the downside. Okay, so that's the setup for Bitcoin. You can replicate this chart on the daily time frame. And now I know most of you are actually watching this after the live stream has ended, which is totally cool. All right, so that's why I keep it on the daily time frame and a longer setup, so that those of you watching perhaps over the weekend, you get a hopefully that setup is still in play. Okay, but for now, today, I want to see how it behaves around the 21-day simple moving average, whether this critical support will actually hold. Okay, so that's Bitcoin right now. Then we'll go to another crowd favorite. We'll go to another crowd favorite here, which is gold. Now, gold prices. We had highlighted that 4,200 target for a while now, and then sure enough, on Monday itself, bam, just big move to the upside, and see it's kind of gravitated around there since, right? So just in the low 4,200 range, and then for support, immediate support, again, the 9-day simple moving average. Okay, has been acting as support yesterday and today. You go back further to a couple of weeks ago, between November 17th until about November 21st, those few days, right? You saw it as resistance, hits it, comes back down, hits it, comes back down. Same thing, before finally seeing this big breakout here, and then climbing, not just hitting our target, but then surpassing it as well. Okay, so now you see this 4,200, this 4,200 big round number acting as support. So let me try and make this bigger so that you guys can see this. Okay, cool. 4,200 big round number now acting as support, right? You go back to mid-November, it was resistance, breach it 3 days, couldn't close above it before coming back down. Resistance. Now let's see if it's support, with further support at the 9-day simple moving average. Okay, now if we can print a higher price than this intraday level here on December 1st, which was this past Monday, then according to a model that we use, it could reach as high as 4,348 by next week. And there's a big reason why it could get there. We'll tell you why in just a bit, right? So not quite a record high, at least on intraday prices, but it could retest this region here pretty soon, unless something shocking happens on December 10th. Okay, now unless the 9-day simple moving average fails to hold a support, a daily close below this this darker blue line, right, could see it reach as low as 4,115 by next week. That is a new trade setup that we have for you between now and next Friday. Okay, so that's the levels to look at: 4,348 to the upside, 4,115 to the downside. Let's see how it behaves within this region, whether it can break out of this sideways move that we've seen really for most of this week. Okay, cool. So that's gold for you. What else? I'll tell you what, let's go straight to the slides here, because we got plenty to cover this week. All right, so bear with me here. Let me just get this up on the screen. Here we go. Okay, cool. So oops. Okay, so we're gonna look at this slide first. Okay, so S&P 500. Okay, now this, you may have heard it before. If you don't know what it is, the S&P 500 is an index. When I say an index, just know that an index is used to measure something. Okay, like consumer price index, it measures consumer prices, aka inflation. Right, purchasing managers index, it measures what purchasing managers actually buy and what they order and all that kind of stuff. But for a stock index, Okay, this index measures a collection or basket of stocks. So the S&P 500, which Bybit calls SP 500 in the Bybit universe, and you can search for this in the Bybit trading platforms and on the app, and I'll show you that in a bit, right? So it measures the 500 industry leading names across key sectors of the US economy. All that means is, I'm talking about the likes of Nvidia, Apple, Tesla, Disney, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Walmart, right? All these ExxonMobil, like, all these stocks that that various industry leading names, they are all in this one basket or this grouping of 500 stocks tracked by the S&P 500 index. Simply put, the S&P 500 is arguably the most popular or the most widely used index to measure the overall performance of US stock markets. So if somebody were to ask me, well, how's the US stock market doing today? Well, I look at the S&P 500 index. Okay, cool. So it's very close to a record high, and I'll show you that in just a bit, right? Why? Because we've got the Federal Reserve rate decision coming up on December 10th, midweek next week, in just a few days from now. This is the big, big, big one. If you're not familiar, the Fed is the world's most influential and most powerful central bank. What they say, don't say. What they do, don't do. What the markets think that the Fed might say or do will move trillions of dollars across asset classes, be it stocks, bonds, gold, crypto, currency markets alone, about $9.6 trillion change hands every single day. That's according to the Bank of International Settlements. Don't believe me? Go Google it. BIS, Bank of International Settlements. Right? They came out with a report on late September, at the end of September, and they gave us that headline number: $9.6 trillion in FX markets alone. You haven't even counted stocks, bonds, commodities, metals, crypto, etc., etc. Okay, so that is a big, big, big excuse me, big event coming up. So make sure you do not miss it. And to help you, we've got a special live stream coming up this Tuesday on December 9th at 8 a.m. GMT, much earlier than usual. So that gives people time, to not only watch live, but then also watch subsequently, because we know most of you are actually watching it after the fact, which is cool, but make sure you do not miss out. Okay, not just on that live stream, we've got giveaways for that as well. But more importantly, the Fed rate decision, we'll talk about how it could impact markets so that you can make better informed decisions in your tradings and investments over the near term, okay, especially over the coming week. All right, so with that said, I'll just show you the S&P 500. Again, we're going to consider whether they could hit a new record high, right? And that is right here. Look at it right now, 6890, right? Resistance from October 31st, again, November 3rd, again on November 12th, and then today as well, getting right so close to it before bouncing back down, okay? 6890, but still only about 1% away from that all-time intraday high of 6928.63 registered on October 30th, right? So, you may have heard of, the bear market in cryptos. Well, not for stock markets, right? There's clearly, a lot of bullish momentum here. It's rebounded by about 5 or so percent. I mean, don't quote me on that, but that's about 5% or so move just within the last couple of weeks or so, since November 20th, November 21st. Okay, so that's why we have this live stream, and kudos to you for watching, right? Because this helps expand your horizons. Now, I know that Bybit traditionally is known with for crypto, which is definitely a core product, but in case you didn't know, earlier this year, just a few months ago, Bybit has also expanded its horizons and its offerings by offering TradFi products. TRADFI. That's just short for traditional finance. Okay. So, traditional finance, this includes, like the S&P 500, gold, euro dollar, currency pairs, commodities, stock indices, the works, okay, beyond just crypto. Now, you can find all of them, right, if you hover over the hamburger menu on the top left-hand corner of the web trading platform. I'll just zoom in a bit so you guys can see this clearer. I know that kind of messes up my charts, but it's okay, because see the hamburger menu in the top left-hand corner, you will see TradFi there. Click on it, and then again, you got metals. That's where gold is. Stocks like your Apples, Teslas, Nvidias, what have you. Indices like the S&P 500. forex, euro, dollar, everything, and commodities, right, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can check out all those under the TradFi product. Now, if you are using the Bybit app, you can just in the search bar across the top, just look for it. Okay, just type in the asset that you want. Like, so if you want Nvidia, right, bam, it just shows up. Okay, cool. All right, so that's how you look for all these different assets. So the big question for the S&P 500, the arguably the most popular US stock in this index, trillions of well, I can't remember how much, but a lot of money and a lot of different funds and products are tied to this one benchmark, S&P 500, including our very own SP 500. Okay, so the big question for next week with the Fed meeting coming up is, can it hit a new record high? And we'll talk to you about the rationale, okay, about the fundamental justification, okay, so like what needs to happen for the S&P 500 to hit a record high. Okay, just so you know, right, a lot of this rebound here that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, a lot of that is predicated on what the Fed will do next. So keep in mind, the Fed decision isn't until December 10th, Wednesday, right? But already for 2 weeks, right, markets already trying to anticipate what the Fed will do. And as things stand, I'll give you some live numbers here on my Bloomberg terminal, which I cannot show you due to copyright reasons. Markets predict a 95% chance that the Fed will cut interest rates again next week. That'll be the third rate cut in this later part of this year, or at least for this year, third rate cut. So that's kind of priced in, right? So in other words, if the Fed for some reason does not cut interest rates next week, there'll be a massive shocker, okay, impacting gold, currencies, S&P 500, even cryptos potentially as well, right? So that's that rate cut next week. That's what markets expect. That's the base case, okay? Now, markets are also forward-looking in nature. What does that mean? That means that today's price reflects tomorrow's hopes, right? So the idea that, okay, not just a rate cut next week, but then also for 2026, markets already kind of anticipating, well, the Fed might cut by a further, there's an, let me see, another 40% chance that the Fed could cut 3 more times in 2026. Okay. But of course, we're going to want clarity, right? We want greater, stronger signals from the Fed when Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who's the boss of the Federal Reserve, he will have a press conference. The FOMC, which is the committee that votes on what to do with interest rates, whether to raise them or put them on hold or cut, they will issue a statement as well. That statement will actually come out at well, it's 10 p.m. Dubai time, so that's about 6 p.m. GMT. And then half an hour later, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell will have a press conference. He'll talk to the media and talk to the watching world, including yours truly. So all these things, right, will be gleaned for signals about what the Fed could do next year. Okay, beyond the expected rate cut expected on December 10th. Right. There's this thing also called a dot plot, and we'll go through them. But again, leave that all for the special live stream that we have just to preview the Fed decision alone. That's happening on December 9th at 8 a.m. For those of you looking at the S&P 500, the big question is, can it hit a new record high? Or who knows? It might even hit it between now and then if, we've got some data that comes out that says, yeah, like the Fed, might have to cut interest rates a lot more and a lot faster next year, perhaps because of a weakening jobs market. Okay, so these are the kinds of things we'll talk about for the special live stream next on Tuesday. And of course, we'll have our regular live stream on coming Monday as well. We hold these live streams daily, right? You can keep us in check. We have them all published and archived on YouTube. That's at Bybit Learn Official. That's the name of our YouTube channel, Bybit Learn Official, or on X at Bybit_Learn. Okay, cool. So that's the S&P 500. Let's go back to that series of events here that we got to keep an eye on. And don't worry, I'll show you guys the setups in just in table form, so it's easy to summarize what we've been sharing. Okay, for this one, right? So S&P 500 for the FX space, we're going to look at the US dollar against the Swiss franc. That's just code for USD CHF. Okay, or rather I should say USDCHF is the code or the ticker for the dollar versus the Swiss franc. Okay, why? Because like I said, Federal Reserve rate decision due on December 10th, and then on December 11th, the Swiss National Bank, the national central bank for Switzerland, they have got their own rate decision as well. Now, to be clear, markets are widely expecting them to just leave their own interest rates in Switzerland untouched. Okay, like no change. But there could be a shocker that the Swiss National Bank may have to actually cut interest rates to keep their inflation levels higher, right? So in fact, I'll give you some live data right now. Markets predict only a 6.7% chance, less than 7% chance that the Swiss National Bank might actually move its own interest rates, not the US one, the Switzerland one, right, might move their interest rates next week. But if there's a shocking decision, don't be surprised if USD makes a big move. Okay, but for now, the forecasted 1 week trading range, and again, you can keep me in check. I put the date down here below, right? You can bookmark this live stream on X and also on YouTube, right? And we'll see how this pans out. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the chart: 0.795 to the downside or 0.812 to the upside. I'll go back here. Oh, wrong screen. Let me just get my bearings here. USDCHF will be right here. Okay, so again, you can find this under the TradFi product, TradFi tab under the hamburger menu. Look for TradFi, or if you're on the app, just type in USDCHF. Okay, yeah. So right now, look, and in fact, if I zoom out, right, you will see USDCHF really just moving sideways since July. It's been capped within this 0.78 to the downside region all the way up to around 0.815 or so. And this range has been there since July. You can pull up this own chart on your own as well. Just check out the Bybit web trading platform, or again, the Bybit app, type in USDCHF, right? This is the daily time frame. That means each of these candlesticks or bars represents how USDCHF, or the dollar versus the Swiss franc, how its prices performed in that one single day. You can change it down to 1 single hour or 4 hours. You can change it down to 1 minute, 15 minutes, 1 week, 1 month, up to you. Okay. You do all that in the top left-hand corner here. You've got the timestamps here. Okay. But yeah, and also, at least for judging by the model that we use, the forecast range is still very much range bound. 812 to the upside, 795 to the downside, right? And but we'll see, right? Unless there's a big shocker from either the Fed or the Fed in the US or the Swiss National Bank in Switzerland. Okay, cool. Again, Fed widely expected, over 90%, 95% chance of a rate cut. SNB, Swiss National Bank, only like a 6-7% chance of any adjustments to their interest rates. Widely expected to keep their interest rates in Switzerland unchanged next week. Okay, so that's all coming up. And of course, then we've got the 50-day simple moving average. I'll just draw this line here, acting as support here of late. Very nifty charting tools that we have within the Bybit universe. Thanks to our friends at TradingView. You can see the logo in the bottom left-hand corner. But yeah, let's go with that. Okay, this is the 50-day simple moving average, acting as support for now. Okay. So while the range may look big, but as you saw, right, when I zoomed out, yeah, it's been pretty much range bound really for the past few months since July. Okay, that's a USD CHF setup. Last but not least, I don't know if you guys saw it already on the chart that I showed you, but I'll show you again. We're going to look at oil prices again. Now, I had cited this as a risk coming into this week. You can check last Friday's live stream when we previewed this week, right? Because there was a big OPEC plus decision last Sunday. So they did a good job in kind of keeping markets quiet. There was a move up in oil prices, but not much, right? Because they didn't shock the markets. So, I mean, just as a quick recap, OPEC Plus, which is the group of major oil producing countries, de facto led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, right? And they and their comrades have agreed to stick to their current plan, which is to not adjust their output levels between now and Q1, the first quarter of 2026. So you got a few months of predictable or stable output, right? But because there are concerns that if they pump out more, the global economy may not have enough demand to keep using up all that oil. And if there's extra oil in the markets, then prices could fall even further, right? But anyways, we're looking for a breakout to the upside there. Again, I've ranked these in terms of, say, gravitas, in terms of, I think which one will gather the most eyeballs and the most attention. S&P 500, again, I said one of the most, if not the most popular benchmark for measuring the overall performance of US stock markets. That's the benchmark stock index. S&P 500, then USD-CHF, is a G10 currency pair, but not as big as say Euro Dollar or GBP USD, right? But then oil, again, I'm not expecting too much here, but I'll just give you a heads up just in case OPEC and the International Energy Agency, there are two different entities. They've got reports coming out on December 11th on the same day about the state of the oil markets. If there's a shocking announcement in those reports, we could see a breakout of oil prices. Okay, so looking at the charts, this is what the oil chart looks like. Now, if you're looking for oil, right, a lot of platforms will give you two different kinds of oil contracts. Okay, the Brent crude oil is the benchmark, right, for global oil prices worldwide. Okay, and the code or the ticker that we have within the Bybit universe is UKOUSD. UKOUSD, as opposed to WTI, which is the benchmark for oil prices in the US. Okay, what they call WTI crude. That ticker is called WSOUSD. Here, I'll show you. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. There we go. All right. There we go. Oh, that's pretty good. Doesn't mess it up too much. Okay, so USOUSD is WTI, the US benchmark for oil prices. UKOUSD is Brent, which is the global, worldwide benchmark for oil prices. They tend to move similarly, although USOUSD is seeing a slightly bigger drop now compared to Brent, but generally they tend to move in tandem. Okay, don't believe me, go check it out. Again, you can find them under the TradFi tab under commodities, or just type in Brent or UKOUSD, and then you can see those charts for yourself. Okay, so if there's a break above the 50-day simple moving average, 65.20 is the target to the upside. We'll keep monitoring it over the course of next week. Again, I think this range is pretty conservative, but again, I'm not really expecting fireworks out of oil prices. I'll be a lot more focused on the Fed and S&P 500. Although to be fair, the Fed decision can also move oil prices as well. Okay, so again, Fed, super important next week. Okay, so by the break above this blue line, the 50-day simple moving average, target 65.20 to the upside, to the downside. If you see a daily close below this key support level here of 62.50, I'll be looking at $61. Okay, but I'm less convinced about this setup compared to either say the other ones that I've showed you earlier. Okay, and to kind of cap it all off, this is what it looks like in table form. Okay, so here we go. All right, gold. For those who are just joining, I know a couple of you more popped up on this live stream. And it's fine, right? You can always rewatch these live stream. In the name of transparency, we keep all of our daily live streams on the weekdays, of course, all on YouTube. That's at Bybit Learn Official. That's the YouTube channel name. Click on the live tab. Okay, live tab, and then you'll find this live stream and also all the ones that we've done pretty much every single weekday over the past month or so. They're all archived there, so you can just rewind to today's one. Then on Bybit Learn, on X, that's at Bybit_learn. That's our handle on X. Okay, but here's the setup. I'm going to leave it up on the screen here. So yeah, daily close above 4264 for those of you who missed it earlier. That's an intraday high from a few days ago. Daily close above that, we're looking at 4348 to the upside, 4115 to the downside if the 9-day simple moving average gets broken. And don't worry, we'll in a couple of moments that we have left, right, I'll go through the charts again. Similarly, Bitcoin, we've got a setup here, bullish and bearish to the downside, and oil that I've just covered just now. Okay. Let me just double check 62.50, 65.20. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay. 652 versus 625. Okay, cool. All right. So if there are any questions, right, feel free to drop them in the chat. I have YouTube open. It's easier for me to spot. Let me just do a quick check on, tell you what, while I share that slide again, let me do a quick check on X to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, thank you for those who liked this tweet, and hope you're watching. And more importantly, you are using some of this information to make better informed decisions across your trading and investing activities. Now, to be clear, right, none of this is financial advice. Okay, please, like this sticker says, do your own research. Okay, DYOR. Okay, I'm just outlining potential scenarios as I see them in the markets, but not to be misconstrued as financial advice. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. No real questions here. Perhaps we'll end with just one more quick glance through the charts. Oh, and don't forget, for those of you who stayed on all the way to the end, check this out. Okay, so in case you didn't know, we've got I mean, not huge like the Fed rate decision, but still an important one coming up. You've got the USPC data due in about 29 minutes from now. Okay. Now, this is the PCE stands for Personal Consumption Expenditure. All that means is it's the Fed, and we already spoke about the Fed, right? The Fed is the world's most influential central bank. This is the Fed's preferred way of measuring inflation. Okay, so that's coming out in about half an hour. So don't be surprised if markets see big moves then as well. But I don't expect anything too spectacular unless we have got a shocking number that says maybe inflation is a lot lower than we had anticipated. I'll spare you the economics lesson. But yeah, quick check-in on Bitcoin right now. Yeah, so still testing that 21-day simple moving average here. Right, we'll see if it keeps holding basically over the next few days. The longer it can hold above it, the greater the chance of it bouncing up to finally achieve the 95,000 target that we had since right here, November 21st. Right, if we see a daily close below it, I'll be aiming for 84,000 to the downside. So today will be crucial. Right, that's Bitcoin, and similarly, I had already shown it to you in the table. Quick check-in on gold prices. Yep, still hovering around that 4,200 level, now 4,232 right now. 9-day simple moving average, very crucial support, not just yesterday, today called into action again, bounce up, right? So we'll see if this lasts. Otherwise, 4,348 to the upside, and I think this is doable depending on what the Fed tells us what it could do over the next year. And not just that, of course, markets are expecting a 95% chance that the Fed will cut interest rates next week. If they don't, there'll be a massive shocker. I expect a big drop in gold prices. Okay, unless if there's a counterbalance, they for some reason do what's called a dovish hold. In other words, if they hold interest rates, which I think is disappointment enough, but they kind of comfort markets by saying, don't worry, at the next meeting in January, they're going to keep cutting interest rates. Okay. But even then, I'll be reacting first to what the actual rate decision is. Okay. So 43.48 to the upside or 4115 to the downside. Keep me accountable, keep me in check. I have this all up in print and on record on YouTube, on X. Search for the Bybit Learn official channels, and you can rewatch them and hold me accountable. Okay, S&P 500 right now, yep, still punching higher. Trying to get closer to that 6890 region, less than 1% away from that all-time intraday high of 6928.63 that we saw on October 30th, I believe. Let me just zoom out here real quick. Yeah, October 30th. Yep. Okay, very, very close. So it's not all doom and gloom, right? Even though cryptos are struggling, you may be looking at your crypto portfolios and, still trying to heal from the wounds of October 10th, which we know was a really dramatic day. It was the largest liquidation event in crypto history, right? But, we are trying to show you that, hey, there are still strategies and, more importantly, opportunities if you cast your horizons further, but still within the Bybit universe. We've got plenty of different products that you can check out and potentially diversify your portfolio with, right? So yeah, I mean, in today's article, maybe I'll just show you this. If you go to bybit.com, we have a learn section, or you can just memorize the URL. It's it's learn.bybit.com. If you don't remember that, just when you go to bybit.com, you'll see the learn option up here at the top. Hover over it, you'll see Bybit Learn as a new one. Click on it, and then you'll see the URL change to learn.bybit.com. Right? If you're using the Bybit app, the learn icon is in your under the account settings. So go to your top left hand corner, click on account, and then you'll see services, and then scroll down until you see learn. Okay. But yeah, on the website, learn.bybit.com, hover over blog, click on daily bits. This title may sound a bit defiant, but it's true, right? What bear market? Because the one I just published today, see December 5th, right? US stocks are closing in on the record high. Right, you even have smaller tokens that surged over 70% today. Okay, and you can read all about it here. So I haven't mentioned, well, in fact, here's a cool thing about a poll that we did a couple of days ago. Most of you thought that the S&P 500 is likeliest to hit a new record high first, a new record high, right? Over 50% of you. There's still some who are hopeful about Bitcoin being able to charge this super rally of like 20-30% to hit a new record high, but that's only about 5% of respondents. There are folks who talk about silver, but guess what? Silver has already hit a new record high this week. Apple, Walmart, Goldman Sachs, all hit new record highs this week as well. Euro dollar climbing, gold climbing. Right. So there are plenty of opportunities across global financial markets. You just got to look at it. I'll just show you maybe one more thing. So if you're looking for some of these bigger movers, but you're still within very much within the crypto space, that's cool. Right, you can find information and data here as well. So you can filter this by, say, 24-hour change. Here we go, port 3, above 70% when I published the article. But right now, just pairing some of those gains slightly, still about 68% over the past 24 hours, 69% now as we speak. Oh, where did it go? There, right, port 3. You can read more about it on the Bybit Learn article, Daily Bits, or you can just click on it and see the chart within the Bybit website or the Bybit app. Okay. All right. So that's plenty of opportunities. You just got to know where to look. And we here are trying to broaden your horizons. And see, look, even though market sentiment are still reading fear, right? This is specific to the crypto market, right? But it's still a ways off from the 11 number that we saw a couple of weeks ago. 11 was in extreme fear territory. So in simpler words, markets are still fearful, but not at the extreme levels that we saw from a couple of weeks ago. Sentiment is recovering slightly, but it needs a lot more of a boost. Could the Fed next week give that crypto confidence boost that bulls want? Well, we'll have to wait and see, right? So that's where you look for all kinds of information within the Bybit universe. And I've just messed up my charts by zooming it in and out. So, but hopefully you guys can all see this. If not, hopefully you can follow the explanation and follow along and try to discover these charts on your own. Okay, cool. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. And one more very important thing. Oh my word, I'm sorry. Now, of course, I like to think that learning in and of itself is reward enough, but we here at Bybit Learn will make it that much sweeter. So if you scan this QR code, right, and you sign up to a new Bybit account, right, either via this QR code, or you can click on the link below in the YouTube description or on the X live stream description as well, or all over our X feed. Again, our handle is at Bybit_learn, or for YouTube, you just got to look for Bybit Learn Official. That's the name of our YouTube channel, and just click on the live tab, and then you can find the link, or scan this QR code on your screen right now. This will land you into the Bybit website, and then you can sign up there. And if you do that, you will get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards. Not all of it, but a share of it. Okay. And I desperately want to give all of this away before Christmas. All right. So first things first, scan the QR code or click on the link, sign up for a new Bybit account to get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards. Now, for those of you, I know we have heard from many of our existing customers and the Bybit OGs, as they call themselves, right? Now, what's in it for them? Well, good question. Same thing. Click on the link, scan the QR code. You will land on this page. Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. So this one, right? You'll learn on this page. And then now for those of you new users, you can do both, right? Not just sign up, but then you can also be in the running for a further weekly prize pool of 5,000 USDT. Okay. How do you claim your share of this? Simple. Scroll down. You'll see all the different tasks that you can take a part of, right? So try one of our spot trade products. So I've given you some ideas, not advice, but ideas. Next week, SP500, USDCHF, UKO USD, that's Brent oil, right? You can try all those different spot products or even spot crypto products. You can trade with one of our trading bots or even just submitting your documents, right? But to do your KYC, that's the know your clients process. This is so that we are compliant with the rules and regulations, right? Or invite friends or even just deposit over $100. You could get points, right? And there's so much more you can do, even like an article or like 5 articles. Share one of the articles like the one today on social media, right? What bear market, right? US stocks are closing in on the record high, and they could even reach there by next week, depending on what the Fed does, right? Share that article or even write your own article, right? You can get all these points and then stack yourselves up against the leaderboard, right? All these guys, 25 pages worth of people who have already taken advantage of these tasks to get points, right? And then you could get your share of a further 5,000 USDT in rewards. That's for the OGs and new users. New users who sign up now, then you can get your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards. Okay, so do not miss out, not just on this giveaway, but also on the information that we had shared. That should hopefully keep you better prepared for the big events next week, especially the upcoming Federal Reserve rate decision. That is a decision by the world's most important and influential and powerful central bank. What they say or don't say, what they do or what they don't do could move trillions of dollars across FX markets, gold, cryptos, stocks, the works, bonds, etc. Okay, so pay attention to that. And don't forget, we've got a special live stream coming up on December 9th at 8 a.m. GMT time. Don't miss out. Look out for more information on our social media. That's at Bybit_learn on X or Bybit Learn Official on YouTube. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the weekend and get ready for a big week ahead. Okay, bye-bye.